G'day guys, Seeney here and welcome to another episode on the Australian Wealth channel. And today we're going to talk about what it actually takes to retire comfortably. So thank you guys so much for tuning into this video. Please make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Really helps to get these videos out to more people. So today we are talking about what it actually takes to retire comfortably. Because there's a lot of numbers that are thrown around, but what is it actually that you need to be able to retire and live a comfortable lifestyle without actually having to work? Some people will take the approach of FIRE, so financial independence, retire early, whereas some people, and most of the people, will have to continue to work over time and then retire once they reach more of a traditional retirement age. So we're going to talk about what it actually takes and the money that you need to be able to retire. Now, this is obviously very dependent on your expenses and how much you're going to spend every year. So with that in mind, let's dive in. So let's say that you want to have a comfortable retirement. A comfortable retirement where you don't have to worry about money at all. You'd probably be spending about $70,000 a year. So right now, in most investment vehicles, to get $70,000 of passive income every single year, you'd need to have definitely over $1 million invested. So there's many different ways to skin a cat. I'm going to give a couple of examples with dividend income. So if you were to invest in Australia into some of the big banks, you'd probably need about $2 million invested in NAB, if we just forget about taxes for a minute, which has a dividend yield of 3.4% if you're looking to retire with about $70,000 a year, or $2 million invested with ANZ, which has a dividend yield of 3.73%. So what this means is if you invested $100,000 into ANZ, for example, the dividend yield that you'd be getting every single year, you'd be getting paid $3,730. Now, of course, if you're going the dividend route, you're going to need a lot more than $100,000 to retire because it's going to be very challenging to live off $3,700 a year. However, if we bump that up to $1 million, then you're looking at more like $37,000, which is, it's definitely doable for some people, but it's probably not going to be super comfortable. Now, on the top end of that, if you invest $2 million, you're looking at roughly that $70,000 figure, which is going to be much more comfortable to retire on. But something that we need to remember is that inflation is going to reduce the purchasing power of that money over time. So we're going to have a look at more of that a bit later. What we need to remember in 40 years' time is that $70,000 is going to be worth absolutely nothing compared to what it is worth today. In comparison, $70,000 in 40 years' time will be the equivalent of $330,000. That will have the same purchasing power based on our trajectory of inflation. It sounds crazy, but this is actually what has happened over time. If you talk to your parents, or you can talk to your grandparents if they're still here, they'll talk about the wages that they were getting, and they're just ridiculously low in comparison to today. But you see, the purchasing power that they had then of each dollar was much more powerful. Today, that is not the case, and that is going to continue in the future. In 40 years' time, people are going to be having a look at some of the figures that we're earning today and just laugh. But the thing is, our purchasing power is all relative. So whilst $70,000 is pretty good today, to retire on every single year, in 40 years, it's going to be nowhere near enough to make sure that you're maintaining the standard of living that you are accustomed to. So it's really important that some of this money that you're getting is reinvested so it can also continue to grow over time. Investing all your money into one dividend stock is definitely not a safe way to be looking at retiring, because if that company goes to zero, so do you. What we're going to do is we're going to go much broader, and we're going to have a look at an index fund like the S&P 500, which tracks the top 500 companies in the USA. So conventional wisdom states that if you're invested in an index fund, such as the S&P 500, you'll get an average return of 7 to 9% every single year. So based on this average, if we're to subtract inflation, which is roughly 2 to 3% every single year, then you'll be able to retire spending 3% of whatever you have invested without digging into your initial capital on average. So with this conventional wisdom, you should retire on about 3% of what you have invested to make sure that you can stay afloat. Some calculations say 4, some even say 5. Of course, in this video, I'm going to be on the conservative side, so you can be pretty much guaranteed based on all the studies and simulations that have been run that you're going to be in a comfortable place. To retire on about $70,000 a year without your purchasing power decreasing over time, you would need to have roughly $2.3 million invested. Now, that might seem like a lot of money right now, and it certainly is a decent chunk of money. But the thing is, you have on your side the effects of compound interest over time. So what we're going to do is we'll have a quick look at a compound calculator and have a look at an example of how money can compound over time, so we can see how small amounts of money over a very long period of time can compound into absolutely astronomical sums. So if we look at a compound interest calculator over 40 years, if you put away $900 a month, you'll reach this target at the 7% return on average every single year, which is really quite conservative. So if you're putting away $900 every single month for the next 40 years and you watch that compound in an index fund like the S&P 500, then you are going to reach this mark and you'll be able to retire very comfortably. At the end of the day, that's only $207 every single week, and you're going to reach this goal. So based on simulations, running the absolute worst case scenario of like retiring at the peak of the market and then watching your money just dwindle away as the market goes down, even in this case, then the 3% rule is going to have you completely covered. In most cases, you'll even be able to spend about 4% of everything that you make every single year compounded. So if you feel like you can live off $40,000 a year, then obviously you'll need a lot less to reach this target of retirement. So it very much depends on the type of lifestyle that you want to live when you retire. For example, if you wanted to retire off about $40,000 every year, you'll likely need over $1.3 million invested into the indexes around the world. This calculation also factors for inflation too. But you see, if you want to live really large and have one of those mega retirements where you're earning $180,000 every single year, completely passive, then the figures change quite dramatically. So if we go on the crazy upside and we want to retire with $180,000 every single year, and obviously have this increase with inflation, we need to have about $6 million invested, which is a substantial amount of money, but is certainly doable. You know, you might not be able to earn $6 million in your life, but the thing is, with compound interest over a very long period of time, 30 or 40 years, if you're aggressively saving and investing that money, over that time, it's very feasible that you could reach that goal. So with these figures, the 3% rule is quite conservative, but I just want to make sure that there was a clear target that people could understand so they know what to aim for. Because people often think, oh, well, you know, I'm just saving for retirement. But it's much better if you have a goal, something that you can aim for. So that way, you know when you're ready to retire and you have that safety and security that you have been working so hard to achieve. So I hope you found this video really interesting. Please make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps to get these videos out to more people. I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has subscribed recently. I've seen a big bump in the numbers over the last month or two, so hopefully we'll continue to grow that. And you know, I really enjoy having you guys here. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you later.